Hello everyone, this is Godzilla of One, and I'm doing another toy review, and today's toy review will be of, well, not another Guardians of Harmony figure, but the, I believe, JAKKS specific Godzilla King of the Monsters 20-inch head to tail. I believe it's 20-inch head to tail, I want to say is the exact title. But it's the new giant Godzilla figure from the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters line, and right off the bat, this guy is freaking huge. As you can tell, I have to pull the camera back way farther than I like to just to keep him in frame. But that's why you buy this thing. And I will get to size comparisons near the end, but first off, let's get a quick look at him. Okay, there we have his head, which is very well done. Like, it is actually a pretty good representation of the legendary Godzilla. His eyes are correctly done, though I think mine might be a little... No, it looks about right. Maybe a little bit off on one eye, but not as bad as some of the NECA figures apparently came out, which is kind of bad. I'm kind of sad. But you can see he's got the gills there. Lots of detail. Like, this guy is covered in detail and scale patterns. His underbelly is done in this, like, lighter shade, which, again, has plenty of detail on it. And his arms, also very well detailed. The tail, which is insanely long. Also, more rounded, I think a little shorter. That's kind of one of the design changes. Speaking of design changes, you have his new dorsal spines, which are more traditional and interesting enough. There's actually an in-universe explanation for why his dorsal spines look different. It's in the Godzilla Aftershocks graphic novel. I won't spoil it. I won't explain it. Just know, if you want to know why his dorsal spines look different, that's why. I think they look really good. Like, they work very well with this profile and make him look... they don't do anything to take away from the design, and they do a lot to add to it. The original, like, the dorsal spines in 2014 were good, but I think looking at it like this, he looks better with the maple leaf-shaped ones. That's just my opinion. Speaking of changes, these one I don't know if they ever explain in that novel, graphic novel. His feet are also a bit different. Not drastically different, they kind of still have the sauropod-like appearance to them, but they have these sharper claws. And this guy, and forgive me if I strain a little bit, this guy is heavy. Like, this is a very heavy figure. This isn't just like a hollow plastic shell. This guy is pretty dang heavy. But, yeah, he's got the new feet, which are one of the other changes. I do like his head sculpt. I like how his teeth are painted. His tongue is painted in there, which is nice. So, overall, very nice representation of the new 2019 figure. And if you're wondering what just fell off, and I hope it didn't break. That was one of my size comparisons. I'll still use him, but I don't think he broke, so nothing to worry about there. Yeah, it's, okay. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to have that happen live on camera. I can't very well easily edit these videos, but that was one of my size comparisons doing a header off of the shelf. Thankfully, he seems to be perfectly fine. But anyway, back to this figure, who we're actually looking at. He's actually got a bit of articulation, not much. His arms can move up that far, down that far, which does fit him, because we do see, like, this seems like he does seem to have this, like, neutral roaming stance he does, so that does work. I wish they could go up a little further, but I can see why they couldn't. That might interfere with the sculpt a little too much. His legs can go forward that far, and back that far. So, theoretically, if his head could change, move a little bit, yeah, that still kind of works as a swimming pose. But the tail, as for his tail, it can rotate at this point. Also, the tail comes detached in the packaging and you have to put it on. It takes a bit of force, but I wouldn't worry about breaking it. It seems pretty robust. So you know he can rotate his tail, which does have some ability at that joint. And then down here at this section, which is on a bit more of a twist, so it can get a bit more articulation. You can use that for a few things, but you are not buying this guy for his articulation. You are buying him for the fact he is freaking huge. How huge? Well, and he's got a lot of detail. You're also buying him for the detail. But anyway, as for how huge he is, here's the Bandai Creations King Ghidorah I have. I'm pretty sure this guy is the size of Godzilla Earth compared to a normal Godzilla. So that is impressive. But if that's not impressive enough, we have the guy who unfortunately got a header off of the shit off the side there, and thankfully does not seem to be broken, but is deciding to give me trouble now that... Apparently he was not very happy with the fact he did a header off of the shelf, but... Here we have Abominus from Power of the Primes. This Godzilla is the size of is about the same height as a Power of the Primes Combiner Wars Combiner, but he's a lot more massive. Like, you can just see if I put this guy in front, there's a lot more mass in Godzilla, which is kind of to be expected, to be honest with you. He is, after all, Godzilla. But, yeah, he is gigantic. And, again, I don't think that just the height shows you how big he is. Like, here he... Okay, let's see if I can do this right. Here's the length comparison. The shot is extremely awkward. But, yeah, he dwarfs the average Godzilla figure. But that's kind of why you want to do him. I mean, that's why you want to do collect this guy. Okay, let's not go with the obvious joke I could make there. But another interesting thing is his arms are made of like a more softer, I think PVC plastic, I think is the term, but not extremely soft. Like they're bendy enough that I can move his hands, but they're not bendy enough that I can move his elbow. So, I mean, can stretch his elbow. The dorsal spines are also made of a bendy plastic, which is to be expected. That way your kid won't accidentally poke his eye out. And I think the feet are also made out of that softer plastic, which I think gives him a little more stability, too. And the end of his tail here is also made of the same bendy plastic. The second segment is not. The second segment is hard plastic. And I do believe, yeah, the top portion of his head, from the looks of it, is also made of bendy plastic. So there are some safety features, but this guy is so massive. If you get this for your kid, I would probably be careful that they don't accidentally bludgeon each other with it. And yeah, he is huge. Like, that is basically what I'm getting here. Is this guy is enormous. And that has some pros and cons. The pros is you get a Godzilla that kind of feels as massive as Godzilla probably should. Like, this guy does live up to the idea of Godzilla being freaking gigantic, especially considering this design is now officially the largest live-action Godzilla. He now is a little bit taller than Shin is. So this is appropriately the one of the biggest Godzilla figures you could buy. I think X Plus might have ones about as big, maybe bigger. So you're buying this guy for his size, and he more than lives up to that, and he just looks so big. The disadvantages, though, of that size are scale. Like I said, this is King Ghidorah. That is not in scale. Like, unless this is like supposed to be Gojira Earth, this is not to scale. Like, yeah. Or if this is like a, Showa era monster to like a Heisei era monster, but even then I think this is a lot more, like, this is even out of proportion there. I think this guy would still be huge in that context. But that is an issue. If you want to pose this guy fighting something, well, you can, get a Combiner Wars villain Decepticon figure and have him fight, which is what I'm going to be doing. But, yeah. I think the only other option you have is that giant Kong figure they came out with in terms of other kaiju, or maybe the X Plus. I'm not sure how this guy scales to an X Plus figure. Of course, there is that is a comparison I feel is apt to make here. Your other options to a figure in this size class that are most practically available would probably be the X Plus figures, which have some pretty dang gigantic ones. However, the thing is, those are also really, really expensive. This guy's $20. Now, I will admit, from what I've seen, X Plus figures typically have a lot better detail, but don't seem to have that much posability. So it's kind of a trade-off, but this guy is way more cost-effective than the X Plus figures are. And I think that matters a lot. Now, NECA did release, I think, a pretty larger Godzilla, but not one this big. So again, if you want a Godzilla that really shows the size and scale, get this one because it is $20. It's not that expensive. I was just able to go and look at it, see it at the Walmart and say, okay, I'll buy that and pick it up with my birthday money. So compare that to an X Plus figure or some of these other bigger figures where you're like, that would be a bit into my pocketbook. So if you're going for detail and pure collector appearance, X Plus might be better, but in terms of just bang for your buck, this is better. And also, if you're going to get this for a child, this would probably be your better bet because it seems to be made of a pretty robust plastic. In general, it doesn't seem like this is going to break. So this would be much better for a kid than an X Plus figure would be. But at the same time, again, it's huge. I'm going to have trouble just finding a place to put it. I'm pretty sure I do have a place, but it will take up a lot of real estate on your shelf. Now, the tail does come off, so you can do that, but that's another negative, that it takes up a lot of real estate. But all that said, I would recommend it if you want a cheaper but still very huge Godzilla. That is where this falls into. And it reminds me of a lot of old figures. Like, I used to have this really huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figure that I used to have all the time and play with. And this reminds me of that. So this has a bit of a nostalgia value to me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye! I still don't have a catchphrase.